Hello, today is the 21st of May 2025. This is part 2 of the videos I'm making. So I'm going to continue on, like I mentioned at the end of my last video, that this video is about how I was deciding the day that I was leaving for Spain, if I was actually leaving, if I was actually going to go to Spain or staying in Ireland for another while, because I had such a lovely time there with myself and my family and my dog, and I just enjoyed it so much. So basically the night before the day I was leaving, I had to say goodbye to my sister Alana and to Mom, because both of them were, either at school or at work the next day, so I wasn't going to see them anymore. And I already felt like very emotional, and I actually cried a bit when saying goodbye, which I haven't felt that sort of sadness in a long time, like that I actually was gonna miss them and that I was actually gonna miss the time I had, because I obviously had such a lovely time. So I actually cried a bit about how I was gonna miss them. And the next morning then I woke up as well and just started crying, and Akela was lying on my bed and I was cuddling with her and I was crying about how I was gonna miss her and how I actually didn't necessarily want to go back to Spain right now, how I just wanted that time with my family in Ireland to be extended, basically. So what was good was that the whole time while I was deciding whether I was actually leaving or not, I was kind to myself. I wasn't pressurizing myself to do anything or to be any way. I was really just like telling myself, there's no need. Like, I don't have to go back to Spain. I don't have to do anything. Like, I was telling myself how I can absolutely stay here, like stay in Ireland if I want to, or I can go back. Like, either way, it's not a big deal. Or even if I am in Spain, I can come back anytime I want to, really. I'm not stuck anywhere. So that was like so nice and different from me, to be that gentle and kind with myself and not tell myself, no, but you should decide, or you should go over, or you should do this and that, which I usually would always have said to myself. But no, I was like very kind, and I knew that no matter which one I decide to do, there's something I can learn from either path I take. And that I can learn whatever I want to learn for myself. If I'm in Ireland or in Spain, I can learn it wherever, whenever. So yeah, the whole time I was just thinking about like going to Spain and how I was really gonna miss like swimming with my sisters, being there at the lake, enjoying the nice weather, having my family and Akela especially and stuff. So I was just thinking about how, I would really miss that, and how I'd really just like to have that for longer. So I got up out of bed, and then I basically went to Dad and was gonna ask him if he can look at some flights for a later date, for like maybe in a week or two, because my mom, like, I'm here for 5 weeks now in total in Spain, and my mom is going to be here for the last 2 weeks. So I wanted to already be here before she was going to be here, so that I'd have some time for myself. So that's why I just wanted to stay like maybe a week or two longer, and the flights weren't that expensive, honestly, and stuff, and the money wasn't the main priority anyway. The main priority was what I wanted, and I wasn't deciding out of fear. I wasn't like afraid I'm not gonna be okay in Spain, or I'm gonna be too anxious on the flight, or blah blah blah. No, like, I knew I would be fine. whichever one I choose, but I really just felt like I was really gonna miss what I had there, and I really didn't want to leave. So I just went up to my dad and I just said, like, he just looked at me, he was like, "Are you okay?" And I just said, like, "Yeah, I'm just kind of upset that I'm leaving and I've been crying and stuff like that." And he gave me a hug and then asked if we just want to sit down for a few seconds together. And then we sat down and I just kind of explained how much I enjoyed everything there and how I don't really know if I want to go back right now or stay a bit longer. And he was just very supportive, and he was like, "Yeah, I could, like, it's completely understandable why you would want to stay here longer, and it just shows how close we are as a family and how the little family community that we've built is obviously a nice one, because otherwise I would immediately want to leave for Spain. I would never want to stay with my family if it wasn't nice." So it just shows how much him and I especially have changed as people, that we now like spending time together or being around each other. And it's not that I always like it. Like, sometimes I'm very glad to be away and sometimes I'm very glad I'm not that close or whatever. But a lot of the time, especially like now, when we were all like in a good mood and just enjoying the time together, like, that's what I love and that's what I want more of. So yeah, he handed me the note that Alana, my sister, had written for me, just a small note basically saying she loves me and she's gonna miss me, which she wrote before she left for school that morning. And Dad was just like, "Yeah, Alana wrote you a really sweet letter." And then I just couldn't hold back my tears, and they just kind of came. And then Dad came over to hug me, and it was so beautiful and so new to just have him as a supporting person. Like, I don't know, I didn't have that a lot in my life, or especially during my teenage years. Like, I didn't have a father who was like very supportive of my emotions basically, or who was just there. And now it was just so beautiful. Like, he really just was genuinely there, and he wasn't pushing his opinion on me or anything. He just listened to what I wanted and went from that. And it was so beautiful. So yeah, basically he then gave me some dates, some flights and the prices and stuff, and I just kind of spent the whole morning, really up until the point we left, just deciding, do I want to go, do I not? And yeah, I spent time outside with Akela, just lying outside with her, and just I was kind of thinking about what I want to do the whole time, but it never felt like really bad or stressful or negative or pressurizing. But I was just thinking over and back, and then I went for a walk just to get out and get into the nature, and I sat down on that field for a bit and just looked at Akela while she was like playing there in the grass and with a stick, and I just loved her so much, and I just appreciated it all. And yeah, it was kind of difficult for me to make a decision. It didn't feel like, oh, this is so hard, this is so difficult, because it's just not. It's either I go or I don't, and both is fine. But I just didn't really know which one I was gonna decide on. So after the walk, I still hadn't made a decision, and then I sent my mom a few voicemails just with the thoughts that were going through my mind, and then she called me at some point as well, and we just spoke, and I told her some of my kind of worries and thoughts, things I was thinking about. So the main thing I was worried about was that if I were to go to Spain, I was scared that the feeling I had there in Ireland of like being powerful, being there for myself, kind to myself, not being anxious, like loving and appreciating what I had, that would go away, or that wouldn't be there if I were to go to Spain. So I didn't want to leave that feeling, basically. That was the main thing, I guess. I just said, like, I don't want to, be in Spain and then beat myself up again and then feel like I'm like really anxious and I need to beat myself up, or that's like the truth and that I deserve to be beaten up, and that I'll feel like I won't be able to stop, and that I'll feel like, I can't stop beating myself up, or I can't stop feeling anxious, or I can't stop being negative. I didn't want to feel like out of control again. I didn't want to feel anxious or bad about myself. And to that, Mom basically said, which helped me quite a bit, was that I'm not responsible for the first thought that I have, because I basically told her my thought pattern. So it's when I have an anxious thought, I then immediately point it out to myself. I'm like, you created that anxiety. Why did you do that? You know it's unhelpful. Why would you do that? So I would then start beating myself up. And then when I'd beat myself up, I would feel like, I need to do that. And then I'd feel like I'm not able to stop. And I have to now feel anxious. And I have to now beat myself up. And I have to feel negative. I'd feel like I can't stop. So Mom first said that thoughts and feelings aren't facts, and that there is things you can do about it, because not everyone in the world lives with so much anxiety. Not everyone in the world beats themselves up like this. So it is absolutely possible to live without that. You do not need to live with beating yourself up, with anxiety. Like, you're not born that way. We are not born with that, so you do not need it. And it's not that you can't stop, it's just that you believe you can't. But there is ways that you can stop. There is techniques that you can use. And basically what she said is the first thought is not your responsibility, because it's coming from your subconscious mind. Like, you're not necessarily aware that like you're creating this thought. It's coming from the beliefs that you have deep down in your subconscious mind that you're not even aware of, because beliefs drive your thoughts. So if you have a belief that you're not good enough, and you might not be aware of that, or maybe you are, but if you have that belief and it's like deep down in you, you're therefore going to create thoughts about yourself. For example, like, you did something wrong, of course you're incapable, like, you're not able to stop this, you're not doing well enough, like, you should be better. You'd be creating those sort of thoughts because of that belief you have. And so I completely understood where she came from. Like, yeah, you can't always be like in control of the thoughts you have, like, even though you are technically, because it's coming from your beliefs and they can be changed. But I understood what she meant, that like, because your beliefs are in your subconscious mind, some thoughts kind of slip through the net and you're just not aware of that. But then it's the second thought and the third thought and whatever comes after that, that is what you are responsible for. So how you react to the first thought. And I would always beat myself up, basically, make myself feel even worse, tell myself I'm incapable of stopping it. So then in that moment I learned that, okay, yeah, if that thought obviously came up because of a belief, I can change the belief by changing the thought that I had. And I can do that by being kind to myself, by showing myself a different path, by using some techniques that calm down the thoughts. That is how I can change the underlying belief. And once that is changed, I will create less of those negative thoughts and more positive ones. So I then learned, like, yeah, there's absolutely no need or use to beat myself up for if I have created an anxious thought, for example. But it's then if I were to be kind to myself and I'd be like, you're okay, it's okay to be anxious, you're still gonna manage it, you're gonna get through this, you have yourself, you've done many things like this in your life before, you've felt like this many times in your life before, and you always made it out. Thoughts and feelings aren't facts, you know, things like that. Then I'd feel much more capable and much more okay if I would talk like that to myself. So that was one thing she said, which I loved. And then another thing she said was basically like, how would Jesus talk to you? And yeah, not everyone believes in Jesus, and that's totally okay. But it's also like, you can ask yourself, how would a thriving person talk to themselves, or how would a thriving person talk to you? And I asked myself the question, how would Jesus talk to me? And there's no way he would like say, you're not good enough, why did you do that, you should never do that again, what the hell, why are you doing that? No, he would hug me, he would say, it's okay, you've got this, you can learn the skills, you're gonna get through this, you are strong, you know, those sort of things. So that actually helped me to get a new perspective on myself, so that I'm not just going from my own brain, but I'm seeing myself through the brain of someone else, basically. And that I can talk to myself differently. I don't need to beat myself up. That's just a belief I have, but I don't need to. Like, there's other ways. So that helped me a lot as well. And it was very, very nice talking to her. And she was just supportive of whatever I'd do as well. And I said to her, like, I know that I'll be fine no matter what I do. So she pointed out how, like, strong that is as well, that, like, you know, I'm not scared or anything. It was just that then because I was, like, indecisive, and I obviously, like, wanted to stay in Ireland more than I wanted to go to Spain in that moment. So I was then kind of blaming that on the fact that, oh, maybe I'm like scared of traveling, you know, maybe something bad will happen and I won't be able to handle it, or maybe I'll create a panic attack and then feel stuck and just need to go home. So I was then kind of blaming this indecisiveness and this wanting to stay in Ireland on the fact that, you know, maybe I'm afraid. But I really wasn't, because I've traveled so many times now already by myself, and I'm absolutely able to do it. The last couple of times I traveled, I was always very calm, very centered, very okay with everything I was doing, very capable. And so I knew, like, I'm not very afraid of that, but I was kind of blaming my thoughts on the fact that, oh, maybe, you know, I'm afraid, maybe I, you know, stuff like that. And then Mom explained to me how, like, you know, the glass is either half full or half empty. So if you're at the top half, it's like you're feeling good, you're feeling powerful, so you're gonna see everything, you know, that's powerful and good and happy. But then if you're at the bottom and you're thinking kind of negatively and not feeling the best, then you're gonna see everything that's also negative and not the best, you know. So that made total sense to me, because I understood, like, yeah, okay, I was obviously not feeling the best, even though I was fine, but I was not feeling the best, obviously, because I was kind of indecisive. I wanted to stay in Ireland, but my flight was going to Spain, so I needed to decide what I wanted to do. And so I was then kind of seeing the other things I was afraid of as well. So that made so much sense. But then I also noticed, like, yeah, so it's basically just my perspective right now, my perception right now. It's not based on any sort of, like, reality or truth. So it's all fine. I also then spoke to my friend Mario about what I should do, and I asked him if he wanted to stay with me for a couple of days while I'm here, so that I'm not fully alone for 3 weeks, but that I have someone. He was like thinking about it a lot, and he was very kind and nice about it, but he basically in the end said like he just prefers to be at home, and he has never really done that before, like lived with someone else while he needed to go to work and stuff as well. So I don't know exactly why he said no, but he said no. Yeah, which, like, it was fine. I mean, it would have been nice if he would have stayed with me here for a while, but it's okay as well. So yeah, I just kind of talked to him about things that were going through my mind. Yeah, I think after the phone call with Mom, I felt much more powerful and capable of going to Spain. And the reason why I decided to go to Spain is, like, well, many things. First of all, the flight was already booked. Second of all, I wanted to prove to myself that I am able, like, I'm able to fly even though I had all these thoughts in my head. I'm still able to do things, and I'm able to be in Spain by myself. And then also I wanted to go to Spain because I wanted to, for a week especially, like for 1 week, I really wanted to focus intensely on the language I'm using. So like my internal self-talk, also the language I speak aloud, like if it's catastrophic or paranoid or whatever, and if I'm kind to myself and gentle, or if I'm beating myself up. I really wanted to focus on my language for like a full week and really make it much more positive and internal and powerful, like in a way that, you know, I am capable. Because I knew from the Thrive program, Rob Kelly said that if you were to solely focus on your language and really make it powerful and positive and strong, that just by doing that alone, you would be able to get yourself thriving, because through that you would be reducing, you know, all the unhelpful thinking styles, like the catastrophic, the black and white, the perfectionist and stuff like that, because those are all just thoughts and the way you're speaking to yourself. And you would also change beliefs, these deep down beliefs that you have in yourself. So you would basically get yourself thriving through that. And like I said in my first video as well, when I noticed how I was like being kind to myself for a couple of days and I was really there for myself, I decided like I want to build that foundation for myself that I can always like go back to, and this stable foundation where I know like I always have myself, and that's enough, and that's okay. So yeah, basically, I don't know, like after the call with Mom, I just felt really powerful and strong. And that's kind of when I decided, yeah, I'm just gonna go. Like, it's gonna be okay. I'm gonna go. And I'm gonna be back in Ireland again in 5 weeks. And I'm gonna see Akela again. And I'm gonna enjoy her. And I'm also gonna just appreciate the time I had now with my family. And also, like, the weather was supposed to change dramatically in Ireland. Like, it was supposed to rain again a lot, and it already started raining again, so we wouldn't have been able to really go swimming much more anyway. And Alana was studying for her junior cert and stuff like that, so yeah, that all played a small part in my decision making. I was really sad about leaving Akela again, and I felt a bit guilty. I was like, I hope I don't regret leaving her for so long, like in the end once she has died or something. I know I would never trade a single moment I had with her for anything, and I love her so much, and I know that even now when we're apart, she's still here, you know, she's still a part of me, and I love her. And at the end of the day, the regret is internal self-talk again, which I can change. And Akela would never want me to be unhappy or regret anything or beat myself up for anything. Like, she would want me to live the best life I could. So yeah, all of that can be worked on. And basically my week has started today, actually. And it's not that I'm not allowed to fail, not allowed to make any mistakes. That's exactly part of it. It's part of it, like just learning how to be kind to yourself. And I beat myself up because I am a perfectionist, because I always point out my mistakes and think I shouldn't make them. But no, mistakes are allowed to be a part of this. I don't have to be great at managing my language immediately. No, it's all a process, step by step. Yeah, and when me and Dad were driving to the airport, we actually had a nice conversation, and that kind of distracted me. In the airport, like, I was totally fine, and in the airplane, and then collecting the car and driving home, and I played music in the car, and I arrived home. And yeah, I was a small bit sad that I wasn't in Ireland with my family, but I was also just okay, you know. And there's so much I can learn, and it's not that, yeah, I don't regret not staying in Ireland. Like, I know that it's so good for me to be here alone as well and focus on myself and get myself better and just start or keep loving myself, stuff like that. So yeah, it might not make 100% sense why I decided to go to Spain instead of staying in Ireland. Like, kind of everything was leaning more towards staying in Ireland. But no, I'm okay with the decision I made, and technically I'm only here for 3 weeks by myself because then Mom is coming. And I really want to learn to love myself. I really want to build that base for myself. So that's, I think, the main thing that I decided on, building that base for myself. And yeah, so this is part 2 of the video. And now we're going to go to part 3, which is about Mario and an update on him and me. And yeah, more to learn. Anyways, thank you for watching. Bye. Mom pointed out as well that obviously I felt good in Ireland and I felt powerful because I was thinking that way about myself, because I created that. So I can create that anywhere I go, even in Spain as well. You know, it was up to me. It wasn't the outer circumstances that made me feel any certain way. It was the way I was thinking about myself and my world. And yeah, that was definitely true, because I was thinking so much like more powerful, and I was like grateful and loving things. Yeah, that also played a part then in my travel to Spain, because while I was traveling to Spain, like in between during the travel, I was already like, wow, look, you're here, you're doing it, you're so capable, well done. And then when I was in the car driving home, I was like very proud of myself. I was like, wow, you did it. And even though you thought like maybe your indecisiveness was because you were scared of something, or you might have a panic attack or whatever, you created some fear thoughts. Look, you actually didn't create anything that you thought you were afraid of. You made it all. You were calm. You did it. Like, you're so capable, and well done. You managed all of it. You're here now. You're driving home. Like, really well done. And when I arrived home again, I like congratulated myself. I was like, hey, you made it. Well done. Very good. So like, that really obviously helped me to boost my self-esteem and to feel better about myself. Yeah.